say gentlemen, but tonight we have our women's ministry. Our women are over here in the sanctuary. Our men are over in our children's church building. So we've got a good teaching that we're going to bring forth to you tonight. We're going to do, I know last Wednesday or last month on the Wednesday, we did like a small group, circled up a little bit. We weren't able to stream last time. We're going to stream a little bit tonight. We may end the stream a little bit early when we do our circle up, but just bear with me. But I am excited. I am titling tonight's message, Forgive or Not to Forgive, that is the question. So, you know, who is that Shakespeare? Is it Shakespeare that's to be or not to be? That is the question. But I'm saying to forgive or not forgive, that is the question. So I'm going to remind you of just a couple of announcements real quick. Don't forget this coming Sunday, it is our marriage ministry on Sunday evening at 5 o'clock here at the church. Don't forget that. Also, our baptism is on Sunday, August the 14th at 5:30 at Autumn and Andrews. We're going to be doing it in the hot tub, but the sins can be washed away in a hot tub just like they can a creek or a river. Amen? Even in a swimming pool. So we want to make sure that you make yourselves available to that. And then don't forget, can you believe we're in July? No. That is July the 13th, which means next month our Celebrate Recovery program is starting back up. So our Celebrate Recovery, we are having babysitting provided. If you would like to have to join us, but you need babysitting and childcare, please make sure that you let us know because we want to provide that for you. But we want to know ahead of time because if you come and you bring your kiddo and nobody's here, that's not good for you. So we definitely want to know ahead of time. But I want to jump right in real quick to tonight's message. We're going to go to a video clip here in just a second. And it says probably what I'll have you do is just tilt the camera and focus it over towards that way, if that's okay. But this past Sunday, Pastor talked about communion, and we all partook of communion as a church body. And, you know, when he was teaching, he taught us that there are 3 requirements for us to embrace when we take communion. And that was remembrance, reflection, and restoration. And sometimes I think, I never know what pastor is going to teach on a Sunday morning or even on a Wednesday night. He very rarely, I could probably count on 2 hands in 24 years how many times I've known what pastor is going to teach. Wow. And so I think my spirit knows, obviously, because I think my spirit knew that we were going to be doing communion because the past 2 weeks, if I'm totally brutally honest with you, I have been all up in my emotions. I have been all up in my feelings. I've allowed my feelings and my emotions to kind of control me, kind of rule me. Things that you had thought you had forgiven kind of creeping back up, and you're like, now where in the world did you come from? And then you start stewing over it, and I start fretting over it, and I'll be honest, I started getting all ticked off and just angry at people. And then I found myself getting angry at people that didn't have anything to do with upsetting me, but I was angry at them because this person hurt me, so I'm angry at you. Been there, or am I the only one? No, I know I'm not the only one. So my emotions have just been up and down and up and down, and you talk about roller coaster, it has been roller coaster. I felt like I was on the Hulk roller coaster thing, just up and down and up and down. And I just thought, Lord, what in the world? What is going on? And so I began searching my heart, and, you know, we took communion. And whenever you take communion as a church body, you know, you don't need to take communion and be perfect. Right. So you can still be a hot mess and take communion. So God doesn't want you perfect. He wants us progressing. So if you've got things going on inside of you, if you've got all these emotions and feelings going on, the guys are over in the kids' church. Yes. The guys are over in the kids' church. Hey, how are you? Sorry, we've got people just coming in, streaming in left and right. Our men are over in the kids' church, and our women are over here. And if you have kiddos, they're more than welcome to sit in the back or sit up here with you. It doesn't matter, whatever you want. But so I am sitting in the front row, and here's what I love or hopefully you guys love this about Pastor and I. We're just straight real people. So I don't stand behind this pulpit, nor does Pastor pretend to have it all together. We straight up do not have it all together. And I can be honest with you, there are times where I'm sitting in that front seat and I'm worshiping the Lord and I am surrendering a whole lot of stuff because I have got to get this thing right so that I can receive the word. So just because I stand back here, just because I have the title of pastor's wife in front of my name, doesn't exempt me from drama. Doesn't exempt me from anger. Doesn't exempt me from wanting to snap somebody's neck every now and then. It doesn't exempt me from that. I still, and sometimes I kind of think it comes on me more because I got to keep myself in check in order for me to be able to stand back here and share this with you, right? So we go and we take communion, and this, like I said, the past 2 weeks, I really, if I had a punching bag, I probably would have punched the bag off the hanger. That's just how much anger and frustration and unforgiveness started creeping up inside of me. Things that you thought you had forgiven somebody, and then you go and you see somebody at Target that resembles the person that you thought you forgave. Now that'll test you right there. And that's what happened. And I'm walking in Target, and I got my cart, and, you know, ladies, we love our Target. Target's got everything. If you need it, Target's got it. I'd love for Target to let me do an endorsement commercial for them. Target, that's my fancy word for it. But I'm trying to bring some France into my Target. But anyway, I'm in Target, strolling, having my good old time. And sometimes you just go to Target to stroll just so you can clear your head. Do you do that? I do that. Get me a little Starbucks and stroll Target. Amen? So, does Britain, I have ancestry from Britain. So that's where I have London in my blood. But anywho, so I'm strolling down Target, and I'm strolling down the aisle, and I look, and I honest to God, thought that this person had moved from Indiana to California. Because that person that I was struggling, or that person that I thought I forgave, was just like 20 feet in front of me. And I made eye contact with that person. And have you ever been that you get like a rush of heat just goes completely through your body? I felt like I had turned to like 140 degrees, my temperature in my body. And I am just staring at this person, and this poor woman probably thought, dear God, what is wrong with you? Because I'm staring at her. And in that moment, I am reflecting of everything that this person reminds me of. I am remembering everything that they had done to me. And they were not nice things. And so I'm standing there, and I'm just staring at her, and the grip on that cart was just like getting tighter and tighter. And I could feel the bones in my face getting tighter and tighter. And it was almost like Jesus saying, hey, Britt, you need to move. You need to move, Britt. You need to walk away. Because it was in that moment that I felt my flesh wanting to straight up do something. And do something crazy. Not being Christian, wanted to do something crazy. So I was all up in my emotions. And finally, I mean, you know, it felt like it was 20 minutes, but it's probably only like 15 seconds. But I finally took my cart, and I just walked away, and I thought, oh, I guess I need to do some more forgiveness. I guess I need to do some more, like, surrendering, Lord. And in that moment, you just, because you're so angry, your emotions take over. And I became so, I had to leave Target, and I had to go, and I had to sit in my car, and I had to just cry because I realized I hadn't let go of completely of what that person had done to me. Forgiveness is a hard thing. And it's not something that we will overcome in an instant. It is something that we have to walk out. There is always going to be somebody ready and willing to hurt you. There's always going to be somebody ready and willing to cut you off. But those people that hurt you the most or that love you the most are probably the ones that are going to hurt you the most. Those people that you call family. Or those people that you may not be blood, but they are family. So we're going to watch a clip real quick. Joyce Meyer. How many of you have heard of Joyce Meyer? I love her. She is straight Southern. Every now and then my Southern accent will come out. But we're going to listen to her real quick. And sis, if you could go ahead and get that on. It's all about forgiveness. So let's listen to Joyce Meyer real quick.
Today I am excited to share the Word of God with you, so let's get started.
I'm sorry. Do something for me. On your phone, if you have a piece of paper, I want you, while she's talking, if there's something that sticks out to you, I want you to just jot it down in your phone. Or I want you to write it on a piece of paper. Because this is not for me. This is for you. But this is for me. But this is for you. So if she says something that you're like, oh, light bulb, I want you to jot it down in your phone or write it on a piece of paper. Yeah. Okay? Yep. So pay attention, because we might share it when we're done. Go ahead.
You know, so often when we need to forgive someone, we have a difficult time doing it because we feel like they don't deserve it. And maybe they don't, but you do. See, when you forgive somebody for hurting you, you're not doing them a favor, you're doing yourself a favor. And let me tell you a story that I think will help get this point across. There was a college teacher who asked each of her students to bring a clear plastic sack and a sack of potatoes to school. So a clear sack and a sack of potatoes. She said, for every person you refuse to forgive, I want you to choose a potato, write the name of the person that you don't want to forgive and the date that you refuse to forgive them, and put it in the plastic bag. Some of our bags, as you can imagine, became quite heavy. We were told to carry this bag with us everywhere we went for 1 week, putting it beside our bed at night, on the car seat when driving, next to our desk, at school, or at work. The hassle of lugging this thing around made it clear what a weight we were carrying spiritually and how we had to pay attention to it all the time and not forget and keep having it in embarrassing places. Well, naturally, the condition of the potatoes deteriorated to a nasty slime. This was a great metaphor for the price we pay for keeping our pain and heavy negativity. Too often we think of forgiveness as a gift that we give the other person, but it clearly is for ourselves. So the next time you decide you can't forgive someone, ask yourself, isn't your bag already heavy enough? So I called somebody this morning and said, can you go get me a 10-pound sack of potatoes? And I'm sure that they thought, what in the world are you going to do with those? But I think pictures are very important. So this is 10 pounds of potatoes. So just imagine that each one of these potatoes represents somebody that you didn't want to forgive in your life, and you're still carrying that thing on the inside of you. Well, you know, I'm reasonably strong for a woman my age. I work out and try to take care of myself. But I can guarantee you, even if I had to carry this around with me the whole time that I'm doing this teaching today, I would have one sore arm and probably a sore shoulder, and it would really wear me out and make me tired. So I want to ask you, are you carrying a heavy sack that's full of the burden of bitterness, resentment, and unforgiveness? And think about the fact that you're taking it everywhere that you go. But you know what? Just like I'm going to come over here and drop this on this table, you can drop your sack also. Don't keep carrying something that God wants you to lay down and let Him take care of. Now, Matthew 18:21. Then Peter came to Jesus and asked, Lord, how many times, Lord, am I going to have to forgive this person for doing the same thing? How many times shall I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? And then Peter had an idea. He said, how about 7? I think that's interesting. Of course, we know 7 is God's perfect number, so this is representative of some things. But I think it's interesting that maybe Peter thought he could handle 7, but he didn't know if he could handle any more than that. You know, sometimes making suggestions to God are almost funny because he's already got a way that things are going to be done if they're going to be done right. And us making suggestions to him on how they should be done doesn't really help. But Jesus, of course, as always, had a perfect answer. He said, I tell you, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. Now, of course, that would be 490, but those numbers are representative. And so I think the message here is you just keep forgiving, keep forgiving, keep forgiving, keep forgiving. Well, then the question comes up, well, if I just keep that up, won't they think they can just keep doing it to me? Well, you know, forgiving somebody doesn't mean you don't confront them. It doesn't mean that you never sit down and talk about a situation or that you don't explain to them how they're hurting you. But if a person is going to refuse to do any different, the point is especially if this is somebody that you have to be around all the time. I mean, I suppose if somebody keeps hurting you over and over and over, and it's somebody you don't have to be with, then, you know, just don't be with them. But if you have to be with them, then you are doing yourself a favor if you forgive them. Don't let somebody else's bad behavior ruin your life. And the key is when you do forgive someone, then you put them in God's hands, and God says he's our vindicator, and he's the one that will bring our recompense. Let me tell you something. God can do marvelous things in relationships if you'll just let go of the bitterness, the resentment, and the unforgiveness. Then he tells a story, and it's a good story. Therefore, the kingdom of heaven is like a king who wanted to settle accounts with his servants. And as he began the settlement, a man who owed him 10,000 bags of gold was brought to him. Since he was not able to pay. Now, I'm going to stop there just a minute and explain something to you. You know, normally we would just go past that. I did for years, never thought anything about it. But you know, my dad sexually abused me and really mistreated me growing up, and I married the first guy that came along because I thought nobody would ever want me, and he ended up cheating on me and just doing all kinds of things. And you know, so I had a pretty big sack of potatoes on my back by the time I was in my early 20s, and I carried it everywhere that I went. And I kept trying to collect from people that weren't even responsible to pay me. You know, when you're hurt really bad, you feel like, and understandably so, I felt like, well, somebody owes me. You feel like something's been taken from you and that somebody needs to pay you back. Well, we initially try to get the person that hurt us to pay us back by shutting them out of our life or wanting them to apologize or talking bad about them to other people. You know, we try to get people back. Right. Yeah. And it's pretty much useless because it never works. It only makes you miserable. And so I was trying to make my dad pay, but it got so bad that then after Dave and I got married, and thank God we've been married now 53 years. Isn't that wonderful? Yay. And you can make it that long too if you really want to. I realized that I was trying to make Dave pay for everything my dad did to me and other people who abused me also. I had a bad attitude. Come on, I'm admitting it. If you have a bad attitude, admit it. I had a bad attitude toward men in general. And I had made these inner vows that nobody's ever going to hurt me again, and you can't trust any man. Men are only out for one thing. And you know, there was a lot that God had to deal with me about, but I had to be willing to put down my sack of bitterness and resentment and unforgiveness and let God do what only God can do. And so I want you to realize that you need to stop trying to collect from people who cannot pay you. You see, what my father took from me, my childhood, my innocence, my virginity, a lot of things that he took from me, he had no way to give them back to me. Right. Even if he would have wanted to, he couldn't have given me back my childhood. Right. But you know, God can. God's caused me to have more fun in the older years of my life than what I might have had in the earlier years of my life. So because he could not pay, I want you to get what I'm saying. Whoever it is that you hate and you're trying to collect from, they cannot pay you back. I mean, the most they could do is say, I'm sorry. But what can they really do beyond that? The master ordered that he and his wife and his children and all that he had be sold to repay the debt. At this, the servant fell on his knees before him. Be patient with me, he begged, and I will pay you back everything. Now listen, the master's servant took pity on him and canceled the debt and let him go. Wow. Now, that's what it means to forgive somebody. It's like saying to them, you don't owe me anything anymore. You say, but they do owe me something. But if you're willing to cancel their debt and let them go like God has canceled your debt and let you go, then God can deal with them and God can pay you back many times over for anything that was taken from you in the past.
Want to hear more from Joyce on this topic? We've got you covered.
So you can just, thank you, sis. In hearing that, wow. Wow. Now, by a show of hands, here's what I want to do real quick, just because we're in a smaller setting. If you're towards the back, I want you at least in the first 2 rows. I prefer like the first row, but scooch up. You know I'm going to ask you to do that, so don't look at me, Michelle. So come on up. And if you're just joining us online, I see some of you are just jumping on the stream. Tonight is our men's and women's. We are separating into 2 different groups. So our women are over here and our men are over there. So we are doing a women's teaching tonight on forgiveness. The title is To Forgive or To Not Forgive. Okay, so we just watched a clip from Joyce Meyer. How many of you got something from that? Yeah. Now let me ask you, how many of you are holding on to something that somebody did to you and you're trying to make somebody else pay for it? Come on now. Yeah. We're trying to get payment back from somebody else. And do you understand what I mean by that? When she said and when I'm saying you're trying to make somebody else pay for what somebody else did to you. So it's like I could say, I'm going to be mean to all of you women because of a woman that hurt me 25 years ago. Yeah. I'm going to make you pay. So if somebody has hurt you and you're trying to make everybody else pay because they hurt you, all you're doing is breaking relationships that God could divinely put in your path. And all you're really doing is making yourself more miserable. Because you're never going to get healed by this person if somebody else is the one who hurt you. Right. There's nothing she can do to help heal me that somebody else hurt me from. Right. She can't do anything about it. All she can do is love me. Yeah. But her love alone can't heal me. Her love alone can't put the ointment on my heart. Right. Now, she gave that example of the potatoes, right? How many of you wrote down something in your notes or on your phone or on a piece of paper that stuck out to you in that teaching? And you want to share it real quick. Jess, there's that mic right next to you. You go ahead and share first, Jess, since you have the mic. What was something that she said that stuck out to you?
It wasn't necessarily a sentence that she said, but everything that she said made me think of the phrase that it didn't happen to me, but for me. And so, being in Celebrate Recovery and just having to go through a lot of stuff and unforgiveness, like it takes a long time to process the hurt and to get to a place to say, okay, if God allowed it, then it was actually for my good. And so it didn't happen to me, but for me, for some reason, for my good.
Right. And that is great. But I will say, Michelle she writes something down, or something, say, get ready. But I will say, not everyone is at that point. Not everyone is at this point. Because it takes a while to get to the point to understand what happened to me is for my good instead of for my destruction. Because we're the ones that makes it for our destruction. We're the ones that will either make it destruct or reconstruct. We're the ones that will do that. So not everyone is at that point to say, oh, praise the Lord. Praise God. It's a process to take bad and turn it into good. It's a process. What is something else that you heard, Miss Chalet?
When she said that hurt people finds, I don't know what my word, but she said that when you're hurt, you like put it on everybody else to basically heal you. That's what I got. And we don't intentionally do it, but you know, like looking back on certain things, how she said she built an attitude. I was angry. Like I had a horrible attitude. And I didn't realize it until listening to this, that it was like basically because I've been hurt before. So I just basically pulled up walls and stuff unintentionally, and I just operated out of that hurt. And then expecting like, well, if they don't do this or do that, then it's whatever. And I kept moving.
Right.
So.
Because we automatically, when somebody has hurt us, we automatically will take that hurt and we will look at every single person in our path and we'll say, they're going to do it to me. Oh, yeah, here it comes. Wonder just how long is it going to take for the snake to pop out from underneath that rock. And you're always in that suspicion zone. And you're always just waiting for somebody to jack you up. You're always waiting for somebody to come around the corner and punch you in the face instead of waiting or expecting somebody to actually love you for you.
Come on.
Somebody else. What was something else that stuck out in the video, Autumn?
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yep.
So I was thinking about how the bag of potatoes, right? Like 10 extra pounds doesn't sound like a lot, but how many of us know physically when we put those 10 extra pounds on, we feel it more in our knees, in our back, you know, and just how we carry that, and we may not see it physically, but how much more we are just carrying that heaviness upon us and how it's affecting us, carrying around bitterness, resentment, unforgiveness.
Right. Because when you're carrying it, and I want you to hear me, when you're carrying a load on your back, come here, Jess. Get on my back. Just get on my back. Put your arms around me so you don't fall off. Around my neck. Around my neck. There we go. Here, hold the microphone. Okay. So I've got Jess. This is such a great illustration. I'm proving I'm not as weak as what I feel. But when I've got her on my back, and this isn't 10 pounds, this is more 100. I'll be on our good side. But when I'm carrying this around, this is hurt.
Oh, come on.
This is bitterness.
Yeah.
This is resentment. This is anger.
Yeah.
This is, oh, you looked at me wrong. Come on. You want to post up on me? Come on. This is every single thing that has been done to me, and I'm carrying it, and I'm carrying it. And eventually, this is going to affect me to the point where I am not going to be able to go at 100%. Because there's times when, you know, when you first have a baby and you're carrying the what's it called? The little pumpkin seat little thingy that they're in, the carrier. You hold it on your arm, and when you're walking around in the store with that thing on your arm, you get in the car and you're like, oh my God, you can't feel your arm. It's like numb. It's like you're like is it even there? You can't feel it. You're not at 100%, and you can't give because of your weight that you're carrying is affecting you. You're not going to be able to give 100 if you're not 100. And ladies, let me tell you something, right? It's not 110. It's 100. There's no such thing for you to be able to give 110. That's impossible. In a marriage, in order for a marriage to work, you have to give 100, 100. There is no 50-50 equals 100. That's not what my word says. I'm out of breath. When you're carrying it around, you get out of breath. It affects you. You're going to end up hurting yourself to the point that you're not going to be of any use. I've got tendons or something. God knows what I've got going on with my arms and my hands lately. Just numbing, and I can't feel, and it's to the point I'll write, and then my writing just gets all stupid because I lose feeling in my hand. But it's from doing physical typing, or who knows, maybe carrying a baby carrier, or carrying Jess around, good God. But it affects you to the point where you can't function at 100%. So when you're walking around with the unforgiveness, the hurt, the things that people have done to you, or maybe you even just found out something, maybe 20 minutes ago, it is going to affect you to the point that you can't help someone in the abundance. You are going to affect yourself in such a way that you can't minister or help someone because you're hurt yourself. So if I've got all this weight, I'm eventually going to have back problems. I'm eventually going to have a knee problem. I'm eventually going to have a hip problem. Because one little thing, and you find it out the older you get. Youngins, just wait. You find it out. When your toe hurts, everything hurts. When you get out of bed in the morning, it's like Pastor said on Sunday, he was talking to his left knee. He's like, what'd I do to you? I ain't done nothing to you. You're not even, you're my non-dominant knee. What? I don't even know what I did to you. You find out there's things that hurt in you the older you get, and you don't know why. But you're going to have unforgiveness, hurt, resentment that's going to affect you in such a way that you don't even know until you want to use it. So what is it that's holding you back from forgiveness? What is it that's keeping you from walking in complete forgiveness? Now, here's the great news. It's not just like little pixie dust. I can't just come and get this water and just, oh, you're good. You're good. Oh, good. You're free now. Free. It doesn't work that way. It's something you have to walk out on a daily basis. That's like when I saw that woman at Target. God help me. I had thought I'd forgiven until I seen it, and then I wanted to choke her out. And then I had to go back home and realize, well, actually in my car, sat in my car for about 20 minutes and had to do some repenting and like, Jesus, Lord. I thought I was doing good until I saw her twin. There are things in our lives that are going to affect us in such a way, if we don't let them go, it will affect us until the Lord takes us home. And I can even say is this, it'll cause you to go home to the Lord sooner. It'll affect your health. So when you're carrying bitterness, resentment, unforgiveness, you become sore in different parts of your body. You're not at 100%, so you can't give 100%. Who else had something that spoke out to you in the teaching that she gave? Somebody else. I'm going to call you out if you don't. Go ahead, Mercy.
What I got was when you forgive someone, it's not for them, but for you. And I went through some stuff not too long ago, and some really painful stuff, and I had to forgive that person. And I let that person know that, you know what, you hurt me, but I forgive you. And I'm not forgiving you for you. I'm forgiving you for myself.
Right.
Because I'm not going to carry that. And because God said I need to forgive you. And that's the main thing. And I can go on. And I was good. I was good. Just letting them know that.
And we have to be careful too when we do approach somebody like that. If the person is still here and you're able to go to them and say, look, I forgive you. This isn't for you. This is for me. You got to be careful with the attitude that you do it in, but you also have to be ready to accept nothing.
Yes.
Because when you go to someone and say, I forgive you, or you know what, this really hurt me what you did, and you don't get an I'm sorry, do you know that that's going to make your unforgiveness 100 times worse?
Come on.
Because you didn't get the response that you wanted.
Come on.
I've done that. You go to your spouse and you're like, all right, I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry. I had an attitude. I probably should have done it this way instead of that way, or who knows what. And they're like, yeah. Oh. What? You're wanting them to respond to you in a certain way. You didn't go to them and apologize for the right reason. You went to apologize to make yourself feel better.
Oh.
Forgiveness isn't about making you feel better. It's about doing the right thing.
Yeah.
that will eventually make you feel better.
Come on.
Right?
No, I was just going to say that when I told that person that I forgave them, all they said was thank you.
Right.
They didn't say I'm sorry or anything, but I was good with that. I was good with that for
And that's
myself,
great.
For myself. Yeah.
And you're there, but I'll be honest, not everybody will respond that way.
Right.
It just depends on first of all, what it was that they did that hurt you. Okay, because there are different depths of pain. Just, you cut me off is a lot different than you stabbing me in the back.
Yeah.
There are different kinds of pain. So their response can't determine your response.
Come on.
Right? So when you are walking around expecting someone to say, you know what, you're right, because Mercy said, I went and I told him, hey, you hurt my feelings. This really happened. If she would have went expecting them to say, oh man, Mercy, I didn't mean to do that. I'm so sorry. We do that though. We go to somebody apologizing because we want them to acknowledge the fact that you hurt me. But what do you do if they're not here?
Right.
What do you do if they've already gone on to be with the Lord?
Right.
What do you do then? You ain't getting an apology, ladies.
Right.
You're not getting an I'm sorry. Maybe you're in a situation where there is a relationship to where you won't ever talk to these people again because your life has moved on. You'll never see these people again. Maybe they haven't passed on, but they're just out of your life.
Yeah.
You're not going to go try and find them on Facebook and, hey, just wanted you to know you really hurt me. That's no. No. There are some things that you have to do for you in a different setting. So like there's times like when Pastor and I have done counseling, we will sit a person in the chair and then there will be an empty chair across from you. And you can do this at home if you need to. You pretend that person that hurt you is sitting in that chair and you let them have it. You get out of you everything that you want to say to them as if they're sitting right here. But understand, you're not getting a response. You're not getting oh, Britt, I'm sorry. I know I did that to you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I'm not going to get that. But I have to be okay with that. And understand, like she said, forgiveness is not for them. It's for me. Because think of a heart. We know our heart isn't the shape of a heart. But think of a heart. And if you have been hurt, your heart is 100%, But you've been hurt, so this little portion of the heart over here is just got a little bit of a bruise on it, a little bit of a sore. And then somebody else hurts you, and then down here on the point, it's a little bit sore. And then someone else just barely does something, and then it bumps into that first bruise that was already there, but then it makes that bruise even bigger. And it just expands and expands to the point, it will consume your entire heart. And then that's when pastor's teaching, or if I'm teaching, or if you hear somebody say you have a hardened heart, that is because your heart has become so hardened, you're not allowing anyone in to possibly remotely help you in your hurt. Because your heart is so hard, like rock hard. Because you have never allowed time to have that one little piece healed. And you've allowed it to grow and grow and grow. And you got to think about this too. Wherever your attention goes is where your energy grows. Wherever you put your attention. So if I put my attention on what somebody did to me, if I put my attention on the negative, that is where my energy is going to go. And that is where my energy is going to grow. And then I'm going to become negative Nancy. And then all I'm going to do is look for every little thing just to add to it, make me more, and my jealousy, and my anger, and my resentment, and my hurt, and my anger, and my little. It will just grow and grow because I have put my attention on that instead of on the healing. What was something else that somebody heard in the teaching? Because you're all saying something totally different, which is awesome. What was something else? Anyone? Yes.
I love how she talked about when the potatoes have been sitting for a while and you've been carrying them, it becomes really nasty.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I mean, we've all left potatoes in the bag too long. We've all left them in the pantry and like they've gotten pushed in the back and things put in front of them. And then you're like, oh my gosh, those have been there for a month and a half. You've not only got those ear things growing out on them, you've got the stuff growing out. Today, I have a lemon tree. And I always cut my lemon, put it in half, and I put half in my water, and I save the other half in a baggie. I don't know how because I always reuse the lemon, but there was a lemon that had gotten shoved to the back, and Bryce goes, oh my God, what is this? And he pulls it out, and that lemon had just, I don't ever want to put lemon in my water again. Because I looked at it and I thought, dear God, that's nasty. Bryce, you should not have shown that to me. Well, Mom, you're the one that left it in there. I don't care. It had become so molded and nasty and black. That's what happens to us on the inside. It becomes so molded and nasty and black that whatever's on the inside is what's going to spew out. Whatever you are is what you're going to affect somebody else with. So if you think you're having a bad day, keep having a bad day, and your kids are going to have a worse day. You think you have a bad attitude, keep having a bad attitude, your husband's going to give you 10 times worse. Because whatever you are is going to rub off, and then that's going to become contagious. And then you're going to find yourself connecting with all of these people on a negative connection rather than a positive connection. Our forgiveness or our unforgiveness affects us from the inside out. You can even look in the mirror and see yourself looking totally different when you're having a bad, nasty day compared to when you're having a joyful day. You just look different. You look 100% totally different. She said, isn't your bag heavy enough? Isn't what you got going on in your life heavy enough that you don't need to carry somebody else's burden and the pain from 20 years ago? Isn't life crazy enough as it is? Rather than taking a hold of something and just keeping it going and keeping it going. Our bags are heavy enough. So we're going to turn off the stream, but I want you to do me a favor. If you're at home and you're listening, I want you to allow the Lord to heal your heart today. I want you to allow the Lord to bring forgiveness inside of you. And how do you do that? Sometimes it's something you have to walk out. This isn't something where I said a minute ago you can take, a little pixie dust from Tinkerbell, and sprinkle it on you and you feel all better. It's a process. So whether, it's reading your word or listening to a praise and worship song or allowing the Lord to just, you to close your eyes and envision someone sitting in that chair and tell them everything that you wish you could say. Allow the Lord to bring forgiveness into your heart today. We're going to do something separate here, but I appreciate